It was a brisk fall day. The bright red and orange leaves on the trees of Oak Brook Preparatory School stood out against the constantly cloudy sky. The popular girls all giggled as they walked effortlessly down the hallway. Their plaid skirts were all perfectly pressed. Their hair was perfectly bouncy. Jessica looked at them longingly from her locker. She wanted to be friends with them, to stride confidently across the quad, to talk to boys, and most of all, to go to their famous popular girls' sleepovers. Jessica never seemed to be quite able to pull off being popular. She always wore not quite the right skirt and pinned her hair back not quite the right way. When Margaret, one of the bubbliest, most popular girls in school, sat next to Jessica in science class, Jessica was overjoyed. Then, when they were paired up for a project, Jessica was ecstatic. Jessica was shy at first, but after a while, she and Margaret actually hit it off. She got Margaret laughing, and Margaret regaled Jessica with tales from her life in the popular clique, like how they all carried an extra lip gloss just in case someone forgot theirs. When the class was over, Margaret asked Jessica if she wanted to sit with her group for lunch. It was finally happening. Jessica was finally going to sit with the popular girls. The girls made friendship bracelets and showed each other pictures of their horses. These girls had horses, but they barely even touched their lunches. Jessica thought that was weird, but she still had fun. For the next couple weeks, Jessica sat with them at lunch every day. On a rare sunny day, Jessica asked the girls if they wanted to eat outside. They gasped. The girls stammered and said it was bad for their skin. Jessica was sad to miss out on the sun, but she didn't want to be kicked out of the group, so she stayed with them in the cafeteria. No matter how strangely the popular girls acted, Jessica was so desperate to be liked by her new friends that she kept her comments to herself. And it worked. The popular girls really started to like her. Margaret invited Jessica to their big sleepover and said that they wanted to do a friendship ceremony to officially induct Jessica into their group. That Friday night, Jessica was ready for the best night of her life. But instead of playing games like Truth or Dare, the girls went outside to count how many bats they could find. And no matter how late it got, there was no sign of anyone going to sleep. How were they not exhausted? When was the friendship ceremony supposed to happen? Just when it was so late that Jessica could barely even keep her eyes open, Margaret announced that it was time for the main event of the night, the friendship ceremony. Margaret told Jessica that they wanted her to officially be part of their group for deathless eternity. It sounded like they were talking about something more than being BFFs. Margaret explained that the popular girls were all vampires, and they wanted to make Jessica a vampire too. Jessica shuddered with fear. It all made sense now. They wouldn't go in the sun. They wouldn't eat regular food. They looked down on anyone who wasn't one of them. They stayed up all night. The girls were all staring at Jessica, waiting for her answer. Finally, Jessica whispered, "No." Margaret asked again, "I never want to be a vampire." The lights flicked on. All the girls laughed. Margaret said it was just a sleepover prank. Jessica pretended to laugh along with them, but after that, the popular girls never talked to Jessica again. Every time Jessica would see them, sitting in the cafeteria in their perfectly pressed plaid skirts, not eating lunch, Jessica would think back to that night in the basement. No matter how much time passed, Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that that night in the basement hadn't been a prank at all. Lisa and her family cheerfully chatted as they ate their dinner. Her little brother, Oliver, secretly fed his peas to the dog as their dad went on one of his usual monologues about the magic of modern technology. He was always buying the craziest new gadgets. Tonight, he was showing off his electric dinner platter. Oliver, done feeding the dog, leans back in his chair and puts his feet up on the table. Lisa's mom knocks his feet off, making it clear that she's tired of Lisa and Oliver breaking the rules all the time. Lisa's dad warned Oliver that if he didn't start following the rules, they were going to have to replace him with the robot boy he found in one of his tech catalogs. Everyone laughed. Then, Oliver and Lisa race each other to the bathroom to brush their teeth. Lisa won, like she does every night. The next night at dinner, Oliver puts his feet up on the table. Lisa started to laugh and looked over at her parents, expecting them to be laughing too. But this time, they weren't. Their faces were stone cold. Lisa and Oliver both quiet down. Oliver takes his feet off the table, and they all eat the rest of their dinner in silence. Lisa and Oliver don't race to the bathroom that night. As they silently brush their teeth, Lisa can't shake the feeling of her parents' cold stare. Suddenly, the door creaks open, and her mother reaches into the bathroom, grabbing Oliver by the arm. She looks at Lisa with her usual bright smile and says, "Sweet dreams," before dragging Oliver out of the bathroom. The next morning, things feel normal again. As Lisa and Oliver walk to school, Lisa tries switching lunches with Oliver, like they do every day, but Oliver refuses. He tells Lisa that their parents had said not to switch lunches. Lisa thought that was weird. It had never bothered Oliver before. Lisa's lunch that day tastes boring. She misses the surprise sandwich and the thrill of reading the note that was meant for Oliver. Why was Oliver all of a sudden following every silly rule? On the way home from school, Lisa is determined to have fun with her brother. She tries to get him to play on their neighbor's tire swing. She tries to get him to splash around in puddles. She even tries to get him to stop at his favorite candy store. But Oliver won't do any of it. He just keeps saying the same thing. "Our parents told us not to." They walk home in silence. It was a warm day, so Lisa takes off her jacket, then reaches over to help Oliver take off his. Oliver hits her hand away. Their parents told him never to take off his jacket. This shocks Lisa. Something was different about Oliver. Something was wrong, but he won't tell her what it is. That night, dinner is silent. Oliver doesn't sneak his vegetables to the dog or put his feet up on the table. By the time dinner is over, Lisa had enough of this. She wanted the old Oliver back. She wanted things to be like they were the day before. Lisa doesn't even try to race Oliver to the bathroom. But while they are brushing their teeth, she gets an idea. Oliver could never turn down a splash fight. She splashes some water from the sink at him and closes her eyes, bracing for him to return fire. But he doesn't. Lisa opens her eyes. Oliver is still staring straight ahead. He is totally still except for his hand, which is twitching a little, right where the water had hit it. The panic floods back into Lisa's body, stronger than before. She had to know what was going on with Oliver. She reaches over and pulls up the sleeve of his jacket. Underneath the jacket, where Oliver's arm should have been, are a bunch of tangled wires and computer chips. Her parents weren't joking when they said they were going to replace Oliver with a robot. They really did it. Suddenly, Lisa's mom was standing at the bathroom door with her cold stare. Lisa freezes with terror, then quickly pulls down Oliver's sleeve. Her mother nods approvingly and says, "Sweet dreams." After that day, Lisa never broke the rules again. There was a girl who wanted to be loved, not just by her friends, not just by her classmates, but by everyone. She wanted to be like her favorite online celeb, Riley, adored by millions. But no matter how hard she tried, no matter how much she posted, she just couldn't seem to get anyone to like her posts. The girl was ready to give up on online fame when she noticed a new app from Riley. It was a camera app with a glowing filter that promised, "You will be loved by millions." She decided to try it, and it worked. With each new selfie she posted, she got more and more likes. Her dreams of stardom were going to come true. There was only one thing. She noticed that in every selfie she took, there was a little speck in the background. And with each new selfie, the speck got closer and closer. The girl continued to blow up online. 100,000 likes, 200,000 likes, 300,000 likes. But with each new post, it became more and more clear that the speck wasn't a speck. It looked like an oily black creature with no eyes and a huge smiling mouth. It must be a glitch in the app, the girl thought. 400,000 likes, 500,000 likes, 600,000 likes. She was now the most popular girl in school. Everyone treated her less like a classmate and more like the superstar that she was becoming. But the creature was getting closer and closer. It was clearly moving towards her with each new selfie, slime dripping from its sick smile. The girl tried to research the Riley app to see if it was a virus. Had this happened to anyone else? But the internet had no information, as if it never existed. The Riley app was starting to creep her out, but the thrill of all her new fans was just too exciting for her to delete it. 700,000 likes, 800,000 likes. The creature in the photo was almost touching her now, reaching out its long, mud-smeared claws. She tried to pass it off as a joke and posted the newest picture with the caption, "Hanging out with my new BF, LOL." But all her fans just commented back, "What BF?" Or, "I don't see anyone else." Or, "Who is she talking about?" No one else saw the creature. The girl was terrified. It was clearly there. Why couldn't anybody else see it? She took another picture to be sure. It was still there, and she could actually smell the sickly odor of the creature and feel its claws on her shoulder. And when she looked down, she saw her sweater was covered in black slime where the creature grabbed it. She screamed and threw her phone. She picked up her phone, realizing she had to erase the app. But right as she was about to press delete, she noticed that her last picture had received 998,000 likes. She was so close to 1,000,000 likes. 1,000,000 fans, 1,000,000 people looking up to her, thinking that she was as cool as Riley. So she summoned up her courage, put on her coolest smile, and decided to take one last picture before deleting the weird app. 1, 2, 3. The girl's old classmates were still following her account. Each new photo she puts up gets millions of likes. In fact, she's now even more popular than Riley herself. They're all happy for the girl, but one thing gnaws at them. They haven't seen her at school in a long, long time. In fact, they're pretty sure no one has seen her at all in a long, long time. And sometimes, when they look at one of her new pictures, for a second, it doesn't look like her. It looks like an oily black creature with no eyes and a wide smile. Casey was easily the worst player on the Lincoln High soccer team. He tried really hard, but he lacked the speed to play with the other kids. Not only did he not get to play, the coach also made him collect everyone's dirty jerseys after the games. He never needed his own jersey washed because he never played. One day, Casey asked his coach what he could do to earn playing time. The coach told Casey he would have to get much faster. After all, they were the Greyhounds, and Greyhounds are fast, so Casey needed to play like one. Everyone knew that their mascot, Gil, brought the team good luck, and Casey knew that he needed Gil's good luck to rub off on him if he wanted to have any chance of playing in the next game. So, 2 nights before the game, he snuck into the school, creeping down the hallways ever so quietly. Once he made it to Gil's room, he gave the dog a treat and pet him until they both fell asleep. The next morning, Casey perks up when the school lights come on. He feels great. During practice, Casey did his drills much faster than usual, and the coach noticed. The coach could not believe his eyes. Casey was surprised how fast he had become. That night, he did the exact same thing as the previous night. He fed Gil another treat and quickly fell asleep next to him. The next day was game day, and Casey was even faster. In the middle of the warm-up, he chased and caught a squirrel. The rest of the team thought it was pretty weird. They were even more surprised when Casey drank out of Gil's bowl during their water break. When it was time for the big game, all the players gave Gil a pat for good luck. Casey did the same, and he could have sworn he saw the dog wink at him in response. As usual, Casey was on the bench, but this time, when they were losing by 2 points, the coach put him in the game. Casey was lightning quick and scored his first goal ever. As a matter of fact, he scored 5 goals and the Greyhounds won the game. When the team celebrated, Casey was so excited he couldn't speak. He just barked. The team thought it was weird, but figured he was just super excited. That night, Casey sneaks back into Gil's room, not even noticing he's grown a tail. He lies down next to Gil, as Casey falls into a deep, hypnotized sleep. He could swear he hears Gil say, "Good night, Casey." When he awakens, he is alone in the room. He goes to a water bowl that says Casey on it. He sees his reflection. He has become a dog. A boy he had never seen before comes in the room. Casey tried to call out for help, but all that comes out are barks. The boy just smiles and gives the same wink to Casey as Gil did at the game. That's a good boy, Casey. What Casey didn't know is that just as much as he wanted to be fast, Gil wanted to be a kid playing soccer. They both got their wishes. Polly and Joanne were best friends. Every day they would play at Joanne's house. Joanne was such a good friend to Polly. She would always make sure her mom put out a snack for Polly, and her dad would always make sure to include Polly in every game they played. But things changed when school began. Joanne started making new friends, so Polly was left to play alone. Joanne spent hours in the park every day playing games and sharing jokes that Polly was not a part of. After the park, when they went back to Joanne's house, Polly thought maybe now they could play together, but Joanne seemed tired. Ignoring Polly, she went straight to her room to do her homework. Then, one day, Joanne invites one of her new friends over. Polly is excited. Maybe now they can all play together. But the new friend doesn't acknowledge Polly at all. Even worse, Joanne ignores Polly too. She never even introduces Polly to her new friend. Polly doesn't understand why Joanne is being so mean. Joanne's mom comes in and sets up for snack time, but she only brings enough snacks for two. Joanne is quick to offer Polly's seat to her new friend. Why is everyone ignoring her? After snack time, Joanne's dad sets up their favorite board game. Maybe now she'll finally be included. But once again, there is no place for Polly. She waves her hands and shouts, but still, no one pays any attention to her. When the new friend leaves, Joanne's parents ask Joanne if she's still friends with Polly. Polly waits eagerly for an answer, but what she hears turns her whole world upside down. "No, Mom, I'm too old for an imaginary friend." Imaginary friend? Polly can't believe her ears. What imaginary friend? Why would Joanne say that? Polly isn't imaginary, is she? Polly looks around the room. How can she be imaginary if she's in all these pictures? But as she looks at the pictures, she sees herself fade away. They're just pictures of Joanne. She tries to remember a single memory where Joanne wasn't there. She can't. Polly tries to convince herself that she's real, but deep down, she knows the truth. She is Joanne's imaginary friend, and Joanne doesn't want to play anymore. It was the day before class elections. Aiden really wanted to be the school president. He was known as the class clown. He liked to tell a lot of jokes, usually at the expense of others. His jokes weren't even funny, but kids laughed because they were afraid of him. Despite acting so tough, Aiden cared about what others thought of him. When Aiden got to class, the teacher was introducing a new kid. He was holding a doll. Aiden laughed out loud. This kid was too old to have a doll at school. The teacher continued, asking the class to try to make him comfortable and welcome. The new kid sat down and put the doll in his backpack, facing Aiden. Aiden was distracted by the doll and its big, creepy eyes. He started hearing drums, repeated drums, over and over and over. He looked around, but no one else seemed to hear them. The recess bell rang and the drums stopped. It must have just been marching band practice. Aiden headed to recess. On the blacktop, the new kid stood off on the side, holding his doll and watching the other kids play. Aiden was weirded out and told the new kid to leave. The new kid didn't budge. Aiden snatched the doll from the kid's hand and threw it to the other side of the playground. "You're too old for dolls." Suddenly, the drums started beating. Louder and louder. So loud, Aiden buckled over in pain, covering his ears. The new kid's eyes got big and he hissed at Aiden that his worst nightmare would become reality. Then he snatched up his doll and ran off. Aiden looked around, but no one else seemed to notice the encounter. That night, as Aiden laid out his suit for his presidential speech the next day, he couldn't stop thinking of those loud drums and how angry the new kid got. Did that doll have powers? That's silly. It was just a doll. Once Aiden fell asleep, he saw the face of the new kid's doll, with its big eyes and creepy smile. He heard the drums. He saw the faces of the kids he always made fun of laughing at him. The new kid spoke again. "Your worst day is here." When Aiden's alarm rang, he jolted awake, drenched in sweat. Today was the big day, Election Day. Aiden had his speech ready. He was going to show the new kid who was the boss and make fun of all the other kids that stood in his way of becoming class president. When he got to class, he noticed that the new kid wasn't there. Good. Maybe he'll never come back. The principal announced over the loudspeaker that all students running for class president should head to the auditorium. Aiden grabbed his suit and prepared for his big speech. The auditorium was packed with every kid in the school. It was finally Aiden's turn. He checked himself out in the mirror and was impressed with what he saw. His name was announced and he walked onto the stage. The room was very cold and quiet. Then, all of a sudden, laughter. Why were they laughing? Louder laughter. Aiden hadn't cracked one joke yet. Even the teachers were laughing. What was going on? The drums echoed in Aiden's ear again, and in the front row, he saw the new kid with a smile on his face holding his doll. The doll was wearing a suit now, the same exact suit that Aiden had on. Aiden looked down, horrified. He realized he was in his underwear, standing in front of the entire school. The laughs got even louder as Aiden tried to run off stage and tripped. The new kid was right. This was his worst nightmare.